Brain fog, a mental haze that feels like your brain is wearing wearing blinders. You're sitting at your desk or maybe on a sofa and you feel stuck. It's more than distracted or bored. You don't have the mental energy to read a book or work on your hobby. And in that foggy, stuck state, you just find yourself eating. You're not hungry, you're just mindlessly eating. It's the only thing you feel like you can do. Eating becomes your activity, the one bit of fun that you have in your day, all you have energy to do. But why? What happened to your energy, your focus? People are going to try to tell you that you're weak, undisciplined, or lazy, but that's not true at all. The problem is your biology has been hijacked. So, if you're new here, I'm Violet, and I make these videos because 8 years ago, I learned that the foods I thought were healthy were actually causing my weight gain and poor health. And I was trapped in the exact loop that you're trapped in. I had the brain fog side, that mindless, low energy eating, but I also had the entertain myself with chocolate and chips and baking some cookies. So today I realize that these aren't two different problems. They are two heads of the same monster. So what we're going to do is divide and conquer. The active hijack isn't a choice. When I went out of my way to get chocolate, cookies, or ice cream, it was a programmed addiction. Food companies engineered this. They hire scientists to find the bliss point. So that Moskowitz guy, he figured out that there's a perfect combination of salt, sugar, and fat that we can put in food that will light up people's reward center in their brain, and you're out of control with food. It's designed to bypass your natural fullness signals and make you overeat because you crave more and more and more. Spaghetti sauce, salad dressings, rice, pasta, bread, when you put them together in the right way, all high sugar foods that trigger cravings. Those healthy foods actually ensure that we will be out of control when we eat chips, cookies, and ice cream. A potato chip isn't a food. It's a scientifically designed to like way to stimulate the reward center of our brain because it's hyper palatable. It's engineered to be addictive. And it's doing that in a way that no real food ever could. Meat, fish, and poultry do not excite our brain the way that these frankenfoods do. So, when you find yourself obsessed with high carb food, that's the actual hijack. That's the addiction. The passive hijack is the brain fog, right? This is the stuck on the sofa, no energy side, where you can't imagine getting up and leaving your house to go to the park or to go see friends or to go to the whatever local store you need to go to get the stuff for your hobby. Nope, can't imagine that because then I would have to come back and use my brain and in something directed and focused. No, we just can't do it. This takes us back to the original question, Wellness Warrior. Why don't we have energy? Why can't we focus? It's because the healthy pasta, bread, and spaghetti sauce and the and of course the junky chocolate chip cookies and chocolate and cause a massive spike in our blood sugar. Your body panics. It releases a flood of insulin because it needs to deal with that sugar. It can't just leave it floating around in you. That's dangerous. We've done this so many times. Our blood sugar rises, it doesn't regulate properly, it crashes, and then it rises and it crashes. The crash is accompanied by brain fog. You don't have energy in your body, so you don't have energy in your brain, right? Basically, you're struggling. And that's why you're exhausted. That's why you're stuck. But it's also why you go out and get more energy. The problem is that the hijack makes my brain scream for immediate energy. I want it now. Help me now. I can't focus. Understand, Wellness Warrior, that in the history of being on this planet, not thinking clearly was ultra dangerous for us. That meant whether it be a bear or a lion, we could get eaten. Your brain wants the solution right now. And because we've all been brainwashed, you give your brain a healthy snack of fruit or granola bars, or if you'd given up like I had, you just eat the chocolate bar because it tastes fun. That fuels another insulin spike and another crash. It is the perfect trap. So, how do you fight a monster that's attacking you from both sides, right? You don't fight the fog. You don't fight the cravings. What you have to actually do is break the cycle. Here's the problem. Most people will try to use willpower, right? They're going to not eat the cookie trying to interrupt the cycle that way. But you can't use willpower to fight a biological hack, right? Remember, the perfect combination of salt, sugar, and fat is what turned your brain against you in the first place. What we actually need now is a biological weapon. And your weapon is going to be to stabilize your blood sugar. If you stop the crash, you stop the fog. It really is that simple. Stop the crash, you stop the fog. Now, if you stop the fog, you break the mindless eating loop. So, in one action, the one thing that I'm going to ask you to do, we stop them from both sides. The one thing you can do to break the biological hijack that you've been living for years is eat protein first. This is the answer to the granola bar trap, but it's also the answer to the oatmeal for breakfast. It's the answer to the chocolate bar snack. What I want you to think about is eating protein for breakfast. The reason that that's the most important place to start is that in the morning when you wake up and your body is looking for food, meat, fish, poultry, and eggs to fuel your day, you're doing what I was doing and you're giving it oatmeal. Oatmeal is not going to properly fuel your day. Now, this problem creates the unfortunate story where roller coaster. If you start with eggs, bacon, sausage, gosh, you could start with steak. You could start with fish. It doesn't if you start with real animal protein, then you are giving your body real food. And because, as I just told you, real food does not participate in the hijack, right? And trust me, when they figure out a way to chemically alter meat, fish, poultry, and eggs so that we chase them and they can make money off selling us those things, trust me, they'll do it. But for right now, they don't know how because that's actually what our body's looking for. They don't light up the reward center of our brain. What they do is they feed us properly. Yes, we feel satisfied when we eat meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. But the reward center of our brain is not overproducing, and our ability to stop eating is still there. They, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, they provide real fuel, not a artificial bliss point. Now, I'm not asking you to change everything all at once, right? What I'm asking you to do is really focus your attention on what you're doing. Starting your day with protein, but then also when you eat a meal, I'm asking you to prioritize the meat, fish, poultry, or eggs that are on your plate over any vegetation that might be there because so fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, all of this plant matter is carb heavy. And if we don't understand that plant matter is carb heavy, we end up allowing ourselves to eat those plants before we eat the meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. And the unfortunate thing that that does, Wellness Warrior, insulin spike, leading to a crash, leading to that brain fog. And we're in that. So let's make sure that we're eating things in the right order. Now, this is going to do the most important things for your body. It's going to provide stable, long lasting energy, of course, preventing that crash and that brain fog. It also provides that satiety, which is the feeling of being okay with what I eat. I want to make sure I clarify this. Satiated does not mean that I'm full, because in reality, most animals aren't really going to eat until they're full if they have an abundance of food available to them. And I see that with my cat. If he joins me today, he does this. If you put food down for him, he will eat the amount he needs to eat and he walks away because he knows there's going to be more food later on in the day. And it's interesting to me because I've even tried like putting more food on the plate than what it looks like he could eat. He leaves it. He walks away from it. He eats enough and walks away. And maybe, you know, 2, 3 hours later, he'll start bothering me for food and I give him more food, but he doesn't overeat it. And guess what? My cat only eats meat because cats are obligate carnivores. So by respecting what the cat needs, the cat is eating appropriately. It's not overeating. It's eating what it needs and walking away, and it's trusting there will be more food. Wellness Warrior, we can do the same. Your body naturally wants you to stop eating when you have enough. It's natural a defense against being lethargic because guess what? If your body is lethargic and a lion shows up, you can't get away. That's dangerous. That hijack, so that addiction that they've created in our head, isn't just bad for your weight. It's not the way that we are meant to function. Please, I want to know in the chat or in the comments if you believe that you could take that step to help your body. Eat the animal protein for breakfast and make sure that your meals prioritize the meat on your plate so that you have it there to eat. Because if you can, the benefit of not being hijacked are waiting for you, right? This isn't just about the food, Wellness Warrior. When the fog lifts, you don't just stop eating mindlessly. That's not the only benefit here. You get your focus back. You have the mental energy to read books, right? You have the mental energy to drive to work, or you have the mental energy to work on your hobbies. You're no longer forcing yourself to fight against the cravings all day. You just forget about the food. It doesn't come to your mind until you're actually hungry. I don't think about food until it's time to eat. And the benefit of that is I set myself up, I put a few things to defrost in the fridge for the week, and then I don't have to think about it. I go to the fridge and there's some kind of meat, fish, or poultry or eggs that I'm going to make for a meal, and I make them. It is so simple when all you're focusing on is fueling your body and allowing it to rebuild you, repair you, and keep you in the healthiest spot because now you're living your life, right? You're eating food that allows you to live your life. You're no longer stuck. Your mind is present and your body is ready to take on whatever kind of activity you want to take on. Wellness warrior, you are not a weak person. You're a strong person who has been unknowingly eating toxins. And whether that toxin was in the form of sugar or all the other chemicals in the processed food we eat, or all the other toxins in the foods, so the plant matter that we eat, our body wasn't asking for any of that. Our body was asking for meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. Regaining control is key, wellness warrior, because a healthy body regulates its weight. Now, I've linked a video below that goes more in depth about why healthy foods cause cravings. It's a video that I made looking at some of the stuff Dr. Lustig was talking about. Go down to the description if you want to watch that. But I've also I also want you to look at oh sorry. I also want to make sure that you know that later on tonight I'm going live in my community. It's at 7 p.m. I'm having office hours. I'm going to talk in depth and I can actually go into your personal stories because we can have a real conversation about you and who you are and what's going on and talk through the problems that you're living. So if you want to have a real conversation with me, go down to the description and join the community and let's start talking. And this is something that I think everybody needs to understand. We need to talk about your real situation for your life to change. So the office hours are happening in the paid community. Go down there. It's called the Captain's Group. I want to talk to you. Let's solve this stuff. So I see one question. If you have questions for me, if there's anything that you want me to answer for you, this is the moment to put your questions up. I'm going to answer everything that's presented. Looking forward to it. So I have one person here. This love you, Violet. You go, girl. Keep telling the good stuff. Well, I will definitely keep talking about this and talking about this as much as I possibly can because my goal here is for all of you to heal your bodies. I know what it feels like. I was in your position. My hip hurting, not able to live my life, struggling. And there's a lot of people that talk about this from a very theoretical perspective, why they think certain things work and why they think women have cramping and struggling and why men have low testosterone and whatever. And it's all very theoretical. And I feel like we live in a world that tries to make all this stuff so complicated when in fact, there's a really basic truth that's sitting in front of all of us. That truth is we stopped eating real food. And we ended up allowing companies to trick us into eating things that were fun in our mouth, but not helping our body to grow. We had a lot of stunted children there for a while when we thought vegetarian and veganism was healthy. It's not helping our body to repair. And we end up with a lot of people in the hospital looking to doctors to heal and solve things that unfortunately food would have built correctly in the first place. We have a lot of people with mental health issues that are struggling because they think that the world is so difficult today that it's causing these problems when in fact, wellness warrior, sure, the world is tough, but it's always been tough. That's not why they're struggling. They're currently struggling because the food they're eating isn't food. And I definitely want you guys to recognize that as long as we keep allowing companies to trick us into eating things that aren't food, we're going to struggle. So I see something alien pigeon I 80. I definitely have wild food noise. I'm 45 and have every single eating disorder you can name. I also have CFS, fibro, gastro issues, CFS. I'm not sure what that is. I might look it up in a second. The list goes on, and I just want to do this way of eating. So you're trying to do keto or carnivore, and you have CFS, meaning food. Um, hmm, I'm not really sure what CFS means. If you want to give me some more information on that, that would be helpful. But I think that for everything else that you said, like the truth of the matter is, if we allow ourselves to entertain ourselves with food, we're always going to struggle. And we also need to acknowledge that we're not in control. That's the hardest part, I think, for most people. Whenever I talk about the fact that companies have hijacked our brain and that we're not controlling this anymore, I feel like people can, on one level, accept that. They can see that, yeah, I'm not in control of this. Like I tell myself today, I'm not going to eat any junk food. And by the end of the day, I'm eating junk food. That was my story. I did that to myself over and over, not having anything, would buy nothing for the house. And then I would go out to buy some groceries and end up bringing home chocolate and eating it, not even in a reasonable amount of days. Like maybe by the next day, all the chocolate that I bought was done. Now I can sit here in front of chocolate. These are those Halloween things that they give out, but I can sit here in front of chocolate and I'm not tempted in the slightest to have it. Where's the other one? But there's another one here somewhere. I'm not tempted in the slightest to have it because I know that that's not real food. I know that that's just junk. I know that that's unhealthy. I can't see the other one is bothering me, but I can sit here in front of these crackers. I used to love these things. I kept a bag to be able to showcase the stupidity that I used to eat. The same thing with the chocolate. That stuff would have been eaten. It wouldn't have lasted a minute in my house. I wouldn't even have gotten home. I probably, something this small, I would have eaten it in the car. So the only way that we really can change this is accepting, acknowledging that we're not in control. And yes, that means that we might need help. That's why I have the meetings, because I know that you're not going to truly solve something as deep as what if you're saying I have eating disorders, you might want to talk to a psychologist, but at the minimum you want to join a group like mine where you're talking to someone that gets it and that's going to help give you a vision that this can be different, first of all, but clear active things to do to change it, because you're not going to change it by just saying, I want it to change. That's not how that works. We all want things to change in life, but they don't change until we actually know what to do, what steps to follow to make it change. And I've given you step one, protein first. And especially for you, I probably would try my best to have the minimum amount of carbohydrates that I possibly can. So only would I eat plants that didn't taste sweet to me. If they tasted the slightest amount sweet, I wouldn't touch them. I would eat meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and very low glycemic vegetables, and I wouldn't even touch fruit because fruit tastes sweet. So I wouldn't even touch fruit. I hope that's helpful because I want you to succeed. Like the whole point of me doing this channel is because I want people to succeed. I want you, after you succeed, to come back and say, Violet, that thing you said to me resonated with me, so I can add your name to the list. I'm making a list. My goal is to have 1,000 people on that list that said, Violet, you helped me to get this under control. I think right now I'm at like 37. I'm going to keep going. You don't know how motivating this is to me. I'm very annoyingly tenacious, and I'm going to keep going until I have my list of 1,000. Because 8 years ago, a few doctors put out a video and I became on their list. And now I want to be on, I want to help as many people as I can, helping people to see that the answer is free. That's the other part of this. The answer is free. It's not about surgery. It's not about medication. It's not about a fancy diet program. That's why I want you guys to come talk to me, right? But I also do know that people don't pay attention to things that they get for free. So it's crazy as it is, I have to ask you to pay to come join my community so that you will actually come in there and have the real conversation with me. Show me what you're doing that's causing you to not get the attraction that you want. But I'm so committed to this. I've lowered the price of my community. It's not at $30 anymore, which is what it's going to go back to by the end of the year. It's at $10 because I want you in there. So you're a third of the price. Come and join us and understand your talk about what's going on and understand what's happening, Wellness Warrior. Anyways, I get frustrated when I'm not trying to be, but I do get frustrated sometimes. Been a while since I caught alive. You are so right about mixed nuts. I would turn to them as a cheat meal. And more often than not, it caused me to spiral. So nuts didn't start off tasting sweet to me. So going back to what I said to Alien Pigeon 80, when I started off, I was able to eat nuts, a few of them here and there, and I was fine. But what I will tell you that I've noticed is as you treat your body properly, you start to taste the sugar in the things that you couldn't taste it in before. And that's great news because what it helps you to see is that your body is actually super sensitive to sugar, which it's supposed to be, which it was. Babies are born, as Dr. Bickman helped me to understand, in a state of ketosis. Babies don't enjoy the taste of sweet the first time you put it in their mouth. And what I've noticed when I look back at videos, and I remember actually the first time I put banana in my daughter's mouth, thinking she was going to love this. Oh, this is going to be great. And she so spit it out. She did not enjoy it at all. My daughter enjoyed the bland tasting meats. So the turkey and all the meats that were just straight up meat with nothing else in them. My daughter loved those. And she was spitting out the sweet tasting fruit and any of the sweet tasting vegetables like sweet potato, sweet potato, or, yeah. But she liked rice and like all the bland tasting things. For years, my daughter's favorite cereal was Weetabix. No sugar added, just milk and Weetabix. Our kids are such an insightful place to pay attention to, especially when you are aware of this information when you have a baby in front of you and you pay attention to what they actually gravitate towards, it becomes clear. But nope, a lot of parents are going to push the fruit because they think it's healthy. There are toxins in fruit. They're going to push the vegetables because they think it's healthy. There are toxins in vegetables. We are at earlier and earlier ages feeding our children things that are full of toxins that are causing them to struggle. And the toxins are not just because of sprayed on chemicals. I know that that is also a thing, and we can't get away from that because whether they use sprayed on chemical toxins or the so called natural toxins, those natural toxins are still chemicals that they're spraying on. Soap is not a natural anything, but we do spray it on fruit to stop bugs from eating it. But we wouldn't sit there and drink a bottle of soap. So let's not fool ourselves into thinking that even these natural repellents are healthy. They are not. I'm scared to do it, to be honest. I'm afraid of it not working. Oh, and or it does work and I can't afford it. I know it's me. Jake's makes me sad. So this is classic. You're echoing to me things I first of all said to myself, but you're saying it not because it's true, because we are programmed to think that. First, it works for everybody else. It couldn't work for me. That's such a story that we see over and over and over. We see it on movies. We see it all over the place. Where in a movie, they will show you that it's only that special, hardcore, super focused person who was able to do it and everybody else failed. That's not reality. But the second part is this fear that, well, if it works, I won't be able to afford it. Well, even bigger problematic lie that we've been told. This stuff, this might cost $1 or $2 a bag. And this is a snack, right? So when you go to the store, you're buying a box of these. Maybe you're getting 6 or 8 in the box, and it's right. It's a snack. When I go to the butcher shop, so I'm not talking about the grocery store now. I go to the butcher shop. Chicken, you can get 2 legs of chicken from the butcher shop for between 3.50 and $4, depending on how big they are. Like when I get those super big ones, it's about $4. But typically, like the regular size that totally is fine for me, 3.50. So 2 full chicken legs. That's 2 drumsticks, 2 thighs. Wellness Warrior, that's a 3.50 base of my meal. And sometimes it's my entire meal, but sometimes I might add 4 eggs to that. Now, a box of eggs, I believe at the regular store is like $3, 3.50, something like that. I'm not good on the price of eggs because I buy them. So actually, okay. I mean, honestly, I'm willing to do the math here with you. We're gonna do the math because I don't want to give you the wrong information. I don't buy my eggs at the regular store. I go and buy them in the big crate. And so then I'm getting like for $9, let's call it $10. Just make it easy. I get $10 divided by, I think there's 30. So for 33 cents, and I have to multiply that by 4. So I've just added $1.30 to my meal. So we're adding another 3.50 to that. So that meal cost me $4.83. Now, I do fry my chicken and I fry my pork chops and all, and I fry my eggs. So theoretically, it could cost me a tiny touch more, but Wellness Warrior, because I'm going to pay for the oil, right? However, if you want to boil your chicken and your eggs, you don't need the extra oil. And then, of course, you can make a nice little soup with that, or a little broth, I should say. It's not a soup because you're not putting anything else in there. If you salt it appropriately and make a little broth, and I would encourage you to drink that broth because by boiling it, you've kind of released some of the minerals and the nutrients that are in that meal. But regardless, it's $4.83 for the entire meal. And so, for clarity, the reason that I eat 2 full chicken legs and 4 eggs is because I only do one meal a day. You technically could split that into 2 meals. You could have a chicken leg and eggs at lunch or supper. And then now we've just divided that by 2. So, sorry, that's not right. Equals divided by 2. And now that meal is $2.41 for one meal, if that would be too much for you. My point is, I don't eat the junk food anymore. And so therefore, I'm not buying snacks that are almost the same price as a meal, right? Like, honestly, if we look at the fact that I can have a lunch meal of $2.40 or a full supper, so one full day of eating at $4.83, this should cost like 20 cents, but it doesn't. Do we see the problem, Wellness Warrior? So what you're telling me absolutely makes sense, that you're afraid you won't be able to afford it because you think this is going to cost so much more. If I do a pork meal, let's go that route. I'm going to give you all the different levels. If I do a pork meal, now we're up to, I would say, $5 and, $5 and change for 1 pound of meat. Now, when I do a pork meal, that's a full pound of meat. I might or might not have the eggs. Again, it all depends on how I'm feeling and how much I've done in that day and how hungry I am. But if I do have eggs, I'm having 2 to 4. I always have between 2 and 4 eggs if like when I'm doing my one meal a day. But sometimes I'll just have the pound of meat alone. It really depends on how much energy I've used in my day. But that's a $5 plus $1.33. So that's a $6.33 at the max meal. On the low end, it's a $5 meal. But then what about a steak or a beef meal? Let's say a beef meal. When Pat, because you guys know, if you're new here, I don't eat beef, thalassemia, so I don't eat beef. But when Pat is having his beef meals, um, he might do anywhere between $10-ish all the way up to $20, 20 something dollars, depending on what cut of meat he takes. So if he's going super fancy, he'll do like 20 something. And if he really wants to do fancy, we can get like a cowboy steak at our butcher for about $35. And I can't remember the other name of that. Like it's cowboy steak versus an, but it's a really cool cut of meat that everybody talks about with a really long bone on it, which I can't remember the name right now. But a cowboy steak just means that you've cut the bone off so you can fry it better, which is more convenient when you're cooking at home in the kitchen. So we're getting into the winter months, not going to be out on the barbecue as much. So when you want to cook that in the house, that's a much more convenient way of doing things, right? So all that to say that Pat's meals can vary from 10 all the way up to 35 if he goes super, super fancy. But Wellness Warrior, can I point this out to you? That's still probably more than you're spending if you add up everything you eat over the course of your entire day. Pat's most expensive meal at $35. I mean, just how many times do we have snacks like this that are costing us a dollar something? So let's say I had, two or three of those a day. We're already up to $5, right? And then, how often do I hear people talking about buying a coffee? How often do I hear people talking about eating out at lunch, at work? So in a normal day, I can guarantee you that me going out to work, I was eating more than that 20-ish dollar range every day. And if I ate out, I was clearly getting close to the $35 range that Pat would have a beautiful, juicy, thick piece of steak, a cowboy steak. And I honestly not even sure he'd be able to finish it. That'd probably end up being two meals for him. But maybe he could. We might test that one day and let you guys know. My point is we need to be more realistic about how much we're eating, first of all, and how much what we're eating is costing us. Actually, I might go back later and put in the description. I did a video going through the money that I've saved because I went keto. So all the stupidities like this that I stopped buying, all the protein bars that I would buy when I was trying to lose weight. I put a video up talking about that, all the dumb sauces that we buy to put on our meats and whatever to try to make things taste fun. And I made a video about that, how much I actually was, I can't remember right now, but it was crazy of the amount of money. And as you see from my meals, once a day, either somewhere between 350 and on the high end $6 for me, 650, let's say for me, that's what my meals cost. And I'm talking about even when I do French cut pork chops, it's still coming in. Maybe I'm pushing 650 at that point. Like it's coming in well under $10 a day for my meal. So Alien Pidgeot, like a pigeon, I don't know how to say that name, but I really encourage you, like you need to just do more research. I have lots of videos on my channel that you can look through that talk about how to do this and help yourself to understand where to start. And I'd even have videos on where to start. So I'm encouraging you, but I'm going to put link to that video below after this stream is done. The video about what I'm going to try to actually remind myself right now because I know myself, I'll forget. Um Maybe I'll even put it in the chat so you can look for it. Or you can watch it after this. But it is so important for us to understand that like your body wants to be healthy, but these mind games that we've been taught to play with ourselves, they actually stop us from doing what's the healthiest thing that we can do. And And honestly, like it keeps us stuck. It keeps us sick. It keeps us from moving forward and doing the healthy thing. I don't remember. I'm gonna probably have to do this afterwards 'cause I can't remember the name of the video. I have the feeling that it had something to do because I remember oh, how much you save? Could it be? Hmm. I'm gonna look for it afterwards and give it to you. But because I have so many videos with the word save in the title too, so I'm just gonna put that on my screen so that I come back to it later, and I will definitely get back to you. Chronic fatigue syndrome. Oh, thank you for giving me what that means. So, chronic fatigue syndrome, I definitely believe is related to what we eat. It showed up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, people just too tired to do anything. That doesn't make any sense to me, Wellness Warrior. That people would just be so exhausted that they can't live. No, and especially when we are supposed to be living in a time where we have abundance of food, that we can feed this planet, and all the stuff that they preach about vegetarianism allowing us to feed this planet. Vegetarianism, in my opinion, was a jump off point for that. I don't believe that we are meant to only live on vegetation. You see the skin issues that are so I've said this so many times, but my hands are so nice and smooth now that I've eliminated not only the vegetation from my diet, but the oils that were based on plants. So I no longer use canola oil. Sorry, well, that I took out from the beginning because Dr. Barry told us that's garbage. So canola oil, vegetable oil, that came out right away. But I no longer use coconut oil, avocado oil, or olive oil because I finally understood that, and it came from just accidentally learning this. The coconut oil was causing my hands to not be able to maintain healthy elasticity, right? So years and years and years ago, I was doing a project and I got cement on my hands and I didn't know how drying cement is for our hands. So I didn't wash it off right away and it completely destroyed the the inside areas of my fingers. I lived, oh my gosh, maybe 7 years with just callousy, uncomfortable, like even in videos, I wasn't ever like showing the palms of my hands, but I mean, that's not a motion that you naturally make anyways. All that to say, I, for whatever reason, I can't even remember what was my reasoning for it. At one point, took coconut oil out of the road. Oh, I think it was because I was just tired of the flavor of the coconut oil in my coffee. And I just stopped using it. And I was strictly using butter and ghee in my coffee. And about a few months later, I don't remember how many months later, I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to the coconut oil. Again, that whole idea of chasing interesting tastes and flavors. Do you understand why I'm so focused now on helping people to understand that chasing tastes and flavors is a damn trap? It is a damn trap. I've lived every one of these traps, Wellness Warrior. I brought the coconut oil back to my coffee. So now we're talking about, I believe, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil in my coffee. That's all the coconut oil I was having for the entire day. And after about 2 weeks, the peeling on the inside of my hands started to come back. And it took me about 2 days to realize that the only thing that I had changed, because I was checking through all the things I was doing, the only thing that I had changed was I had reintroduced coconut oil. It, first of all, is crazy to me how quickly my body showed me stop doing that, but I'm happy how quickly my body showed me to stop doing that. I will say it, I will scream it from the rooftops how happy I am that I suffer from violet syndrome. Violet syndrome is the best thing that ever happened to me, right? The fact that anything that I do off plan either causes screaming pain in my joints or my skin will just fall apart immediately, I love because it helps me to see when I touch something that I think is okay, and my body is going, put that down. That's not for you. Because I always listen to my body from now. Like that taught me, listen to your body. So I want all of us thinking about that. What are the things that your body shows you immediately? It says, "Hey, no," and it gives you some kind of sign that this is harming you. Listen. I hear that. LOL. I would have eaten it right away. Yeah, me. Yeah, this is helpful. Very helpful. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that it's helpful. Elizabeth Adams. It takes time. After all the years of eating the way we were told to eat, it is difficult to recognize when we are really hungry. What are our signals? That's a good one. And I used to talk about this more. I thank you, Elizabeth, for bringing this back to my brain because I haven't talked about it in a long time. It is true. Number one, the signal for hunger, which occurs in our tummy, is the identical signal that we have for thirst. And most people don't drink enough. And especially when we are used to eating this stuff or these things, we are not getting enough or these things. This is pasta. This little package is supposed to serve 4 people, which I laugh out loud because there's 25 grams per serving. And I know that I would have probably eaten half that container, if not the whole container. But anyway, when we're eating that kind of stuff, we're not getting enough water in our diet. And and we're not able to then hold on to the right combination of minerals. So there's a lot of things that go wrong when we're eating garbage and we're not eating real food. So our body is often asking us for water because we're eating processed foods that have so many ingredients that are not real for us, and our body has to sort them out and throw them away, and like so we need to urinate them out, and so we're losing water on a regular basis. Our body's asking us for water. And I don't know if you guys remember this from science class. This is something that I just love this in science class, and I guess that's why it stuck with me. But our cells are barriers, and you have liquid on this side and liquid on this side, and there's that barrier in the middle. And our cells are made up in a way where the ions and the different things in the liquid can move back and forth through these transport channels, right? But I remember learning in science about this thing called homeostasis, which is where the concentration of X, Y, or Z in the liquid would be the same on either side. So when the it levels itself out and you have a homogeneous mix on either side, that's when you're using man-made barriers. The funny thing that we don't understand, and we kind of try to treat our body like the stuff we learn in science. And when I learned this about our body, I was like, that makes so much sense. Our body doesn't just allow things to regulate in a way that it's equal on each side. Our body actually decides that inside the cell we need to have, for example, this much sodium, and outside the cell we need to have that much sodium, so that there's an electrical charge difference. And that's why things like neurons fire, right? Like that, they work because that change in between the outside and the inside, then our body can trigger it by sending electrons back and forth through that barrier. And now nerves are firing and things are happening, and it's amazing and it's great. So I'm saying this for 2 reasons. Understand how damn complicated your body is, first of all. We think we know more than we know. I'm talking about doctors, I'm talking about scientists. We think we know more than we know. If we would say that our body is 100%, like the body of knowledge about our body is 100%, I am saying we know 1%. We do not know near enough to be actively going against what our body is telling us to do. Okay. Now, when we are hungry, our body gives us that signal, and it's not just based on fuel. It's also based on nutrients. Your body is looking for meat, fish, poultry, and eggs because inside of that, it gets the protein it needs to build and repair. It gets the energy it needs to build and repair. Yes, the fat that is on the meat that they constantly tell you to throw away, you should be eating because that's the actual energy source that your body has been looking for the entire time. And then you get the nutrients, the micronutrients, right? All those micronutrients that they keep telling you, hey, you need to eat fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts and seeds and all the blah, blah, blah. No, they are also available in the meat, fish, poultry, eggs. Different types of meat, different types of fish give you different types of micronutrients, as do different types of eggs give you different types of so different levels of micronutrients, right? Every animal food has what we need in varying amounts. When your body asks you for something, I would encourage you, Elizabeth, to test, is it water that it wants? Because maybe it needs to help regulate the balance in me, right? We need to have enough water in us so that our body can regulate that balance. Not to mention, when you drink water, guess what's in there? Minerals, right? Like most water isn't completely void of anything. And as a matter of fact, we're told not to drink water that's completely void of anything. That's not good for us. So you want to be drinking water that has something in it, right? So when you drink that water, your body's going to be able to do what it needs to do on the liquid side. So if you're drinking orange juice, apple juice, if you're drinking soda, you're bringing in a liquid that has so much stuff in it that your body now has to sort through because some of that stuff is toxic, high level sugar. Some of that stuff is toxic, chemicals in fruit. Some of that stuff is toxic, like chemicals in soda. You are causing your body to struggle unnecessarily. So by drinking water, what you're gonna see is either I drink water and I'm fine, and I mean fine for hours and hours, like I'm fine. I drink some water and like, oh, I feel great. I go off, I continue to live another 2, 3, 4 hours, and I'm absolutely fine. And I know that what my body wanted was water. Versus I drink some water, and I'm not just talking about a sip of water, wellness water. I mean, I would drink a glass of water and see what happens. And if I drink a glass of water, but then 5 to 10 minutes later, my body is telling me I'm hungry again. Well, now I know that no, it wasn't thirst. That was hunger. Your body was asking you for some food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs. And that's what I would go get. That was a very long answer, but I wanted to make sure that I was clear about why I feel so frustrated, but yet so focused on everyone understanding these points. So, Monique Scherer, hello. Started keto again October 1st, lost 5 kilograms. Ooh, you're giving me numbers that I don't quite know. What is 5 kilograms in pounds? 11 pounds. Hey, congratulations to you on getting that healthy win there. So, a little slower the last 1 or 2 weeks. I know exactly what to do. Stop the little handful of peanuts after my meal. So the little handful of peanuts is, as I said earlier, not just toxic because of the sugar. It's toxic because of the other chemical. We don't even understand how nuts, seeds are the baby of the plant. So if you consider any of you who've had children, when they were a baby, how fiercely did you protect them? You check on them every few minutes, especially when they can't move around. Oh, like you're all over that baby trying to make sure that it doesn't fall, it doesn't, if you have pets like I do, that the pets didn't jump on the baby. Like you were making sure that your child was okay. Why do we think that a plant's seed or nut, because those are both the baby of the plant, or the grain, when we're talking about grains, that's the baby of the plant. Why do we think that the plant isn't protecting this? Well, guess what? It is with a bunch of toxins Since um, I have peanut butter problem. Okay. I mean, I love the breakdowns. It's helping me out for sure. Thank you, Alien. Monique says, your videos help me to stay motivated. Thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate that, Monique. Are you telling me to add you to the list? Am I reading that correctly? Because if you are, I will. If my videos have somehow contributed directly to you staying on track, I'll add you to the list. This is very motivating for me. Ebony Talks, you're saying this is interesting. Thank you. And Germond, I'm hoping I'm saying that. Gersland Thorson, I hope I'm saying that right. A pinch of salt. So if you add a pinch of salt, I've heard this also before, that if rather than drinking water, you could also put a pinch of salt because maybe your body is just needing some micronutrients, some minerals, Um, I've even heard people say they put the salt in the water just to be sure because maybe you need both. Craving is not hunger. I absolutely agree with that. No craving is hunger. So, okay, let's make that distinction. I didn't make that distinction clear. Hunger signals will come from your stomach. Craving signals will come from your mind. So now we're talking about my brain telling me, hey, you want to eat something, you're hungry, or my brain seeing the time, it is now 12:16, and saying, oh, it's noon, it's time to eat lunch. That's not a hunger signal. But the funny thing is, and we have to be careful with this, my brain looking at the clock and going, hey, it's time for lunch, could then kind of trigger me a little bit. And then I might feel my stomach making like a little bit of a like, oh, could it be time feeling? But if I wait, like right now, I just did that to myself as we're speaking. I looked at the time to tell you what it was, and I had this little bit of feeling like, oh, you could have a little something. But the funny thing is, I know that if I just keep moving forward and going on, it's going to go away. And the reason is that it's not real, right? Like my brain and my gut are actually connected and they do impact each other. My gut will send signals up to my brain when there's a certain amount, so my stomach especially, up to my brain when there's a certain amount of food in there and tell me, hey, I think we have enough in here. And then my brain will stop me from eating. That is the signal that I told you gets overridden when you're in that brain foggy, chasey thing that you're doing with those high carbohydrate, garbage foods that we are told are okay to eat. As a matter of fact, we're told they're good for snacking. Those granola bars are good for us, right? Because they're all the healthy grains. That garbage gets our brain to bypass that signal, first of all. Second of all, most of these things are made in such a way, like for example, if you look at this bar or a granola bar, the amount of grain that and nut and seed that can be packed in there because it's ground up in the case of this, but cooked in the case of the bars, we can eat so much more than even if we sat down with a bowl of peanuts and chewed every peanut appropriately and swallowed it, or actually had to chew that nut raw and swallow it. I'm not sure if you can eat peanuts raw, so don't try that. I'm not sure if that's one of those poisonous ones. But the point that I'm making is that when we have to eat an uncooked version of any of these things compared to the cooked version of these things, we all of a sudden get a real understanding of the fact that we would not have been able to eat as much as we eat. And the great example that I actually have in my real life, when I was under the age of 20 for sure. I was even say I wasn't even a teenager yet, so I was under the age of 13. My family went back to Barbados. That's where we're from, or that where they're from. I was born here, and while we were there, we were visiting some family members, and they had on their property, or next to their property, it might have been sugarcane. Sugarcane is one of the places where sugar is harvested from. And we went over to the sugarcane field and we just cut off some pieces of sugar. So the adults did, not us kids. And they cut them in small pieces and they took the skin off and gave us them to chew on, something that they do all the time. But let me tell you this, Wellness Warrior. First of all, it was chew on, not to eat. You cannot eat this thing in its natural form. You can chew on it and get the sweet tasting juices out of the stalk, that you can do, which is, I imagine, if you think about it, the way that we get sap from a tree to make maple syrup, like I feel like it's kind of a similar, but I'm just chewing it up and pulling it out with my mouth. Can I tell you, first of all, it was sweet and delicious. I do remember that because I remember eating. I didn't eat it. I remember chewing on more than one piece. But the thing is, how long did it take us to chew on it? And how much chewing? Like, so I had more than one piece. I didn't get through the second one because by the time I was trying to get through the second one, like my jaws were so tired. It was exhausting trying to get through this thing. And it really does help us to understand that when we process food, especially when we ultra process food, we are now able to eat things that we would not have been able to eat. There's no way without a knife, first of all, that we would have gotten through the hard outer shell of that um, sugar cane. Like our little teeth, no, it wasn't doing that. But second of all, even when we had just the flesh of the inside to chew on, how hard was it? It still wasn't like you're biting off a piece. You weren't. You were chewing your way down the stalk, flip it over, chew your way down the stalk, throw it away, get another piece. That was exhausting because it's not like you bite it and like we're with these things, maybe it melts in your mouth. Like if I bit this and just sat still, this is gonna melt in my mouth. I'm pretty sure this would do the same thing. This protein bar, because it's all mush and like whatever. Not the sugar cane. Like not only did we have to bite on it, we had to suck on it to get the juice out. It it's an experience I still remember to this day because there's nothing here in Canada that can replicate that I've ever had available to me to eat. I remember it like it was yesterday, Wellness Warrior. So, you know, they are able to trick us into overeating just because we don't understand that the 25-ish grams of carbs in something really stupid small like this is a problem, right? Because this, by the way, the carbohydrates in this and one serving of this almost almost the same. I know that's 25, and if I remember correctly, this was like somewhere around 26, 27. I can't remember, but almost the same. That's a craving. Those things are cravings. And that triggering of our brain, because we are getting that much sugar in that quick, like instead of it taking me an hour, if I really want to eat 25 grams worth of sugar from sugarcane, how long would it take me to get through enough that I got 25 grams worth of sugar out of it versus the 5 teaspoons, right? Ish, 6 teaspoons ish that I would need that I could put in my coffee. I've seen people do that, by the way, that they put 3 tablespoons of sugar, and 3 tablespoons is like, oh my God, that's like, yeah, more than I've seen someone put 3 tablespoons of sugar in their coffee. But like, we don't even fully understand that 2 tablespoons of sugar on cereal, I've done that. 2 tablespoons of sugar on cereal, easily, I've done that. On cereal, which is already sugar, is causing us to chase. It's causing cravings. Salads listen until it's chewed. Salads listen until it's chewed. I'm not really sure I understand that, but salads listen to. I'm not really sure I understand that joke. The hardest thing about fasting is the social codes, as I, as men, sorry, such as meal times. When I'm alone, fasting is easy. When I'm with others, fasting is complicated. One of the things that I've learned to do to help me to fast when I'm with other people is I'm not shy to drink either carbonated water, coffee, or tea rather than indulge in food that I know I don't need. So I would rather like just have something to drink, and I don't put, so when I'm out at a restaurant, if they don't have carbonated water, which is my typical go to, then I will go for a coffee or tea. Well, actually, I'll go for a tea before a coffee because I don't drink tea often. So having a tea out at a restaurant is kind of a fun thing for me, especially if they have good flavorings. Um, and that little bit of carb that's in the tea, I know is not going to do anything to my day. So I'm willing to risk that small amount of tea if I'm going to do that. Now, that was all before I learned about dumping that can happen with people when they reintroduce something they haven't had for a long time. So today I'm more focused on either doing coffee or carbonated water because I haven't had tea. My goodness. I would have to say more than 6 months now. So I would be hesitant to have tea right now because I'm afraid it might cause oxalate dumping or some other kind of dumping. And then my body would have to deal with that. But giving yourself something that you enjoy sipping on while the people are eating makes it easier because the truth of the matter, at least for me, but you let me know, Gurmund, if it's the truth for you, I'm not hungry at that point. If I was actually hungry and the restaurant sold meat, I would order some meat. And I'm, again, that person. I have no problem at a restaurant being very in your face about I want zero carbohydrates on the plate. That means no bread, that means no potatoes, that means no lettuce leaf. I want no I will send it back. I'm willing to say that to people because I don't want the carbohydrates on my plate. I don't want you to accidentally put some tomato on my plate and that juice gets in me. I have a problem with nightshades. That will impact me. So I'm very, very focused on letting people know what I am and am not willing to do. I hope that helps you because yeah, just go have a coffee with your friends. They can eat pizza if they want to eat pizza. Drink some carbonated water or whatever. Or if they don't have carbonated water, you theoretically could just have regular, like bottled water, but enjoy the time with friends. The most important thing for you to do is enjoy the time with friends. If you're having fun with your friends, you're not going to care about what they're eating, right? And the only time I feel like that would be hard to do is that if we're so focused on eating, we're not engaging in conversation. In that case, that'll be more difficult. But mostly when we go out together, that's not the point, right? We're out to chat, and we just happen to be making the mistake of doing it around food. Freezing and blanching of plants both removes a lot of the plant self defense. Hence, absorption from blanched or frozen foods is way better than fresh. Better isn't none. And I really, I've heard Dr. Well, Mike Gundy say this. He's talking about putting things in pressure cookers and he's talking about doing all kinds of stuff. Better doesn't equal non-existent. And for people who are struggling, I really want you to consider the fact that blanching or freezing these fruits and vegetables, and then okay, sure, maybe we've lessened the toxin, but it's a food my body never asked me for. And I think that's the most important part. We keep giving our body foods it did not ask for, has no use for, can get what it needed from meat, fish, poultry, eggs. And we're trying to say, but because it's this version is better than that version, that this version is an option. For some of us, this option version is still going to be problematic. It's still going to lead to skin issues. I was using coconut oil, one of the safest oils that they tell people doing keto and carnivore, right? Is coconut oil, avocado oil, and olive oil. And that coconut oil was absolutely causing me to have that skin problem that is completely gone now. Completely. So safer doesn't equal okay. But the other thing I want you all to think about, every time we let something in, as many of you have already mentioned on here, we open that door to chasing. I want you to have a mindset That's about putting you first. And by eating non nutritive garbage, which is these packaged foods, or eating plants and vegetables when your body's clearly telling you that you do better on meat, fish, poultry, and eggs, you are still opening the door to problems. You're going to do what you're going to do, but I'm going to say it here. Just because blanching or freezing them makes them better, it doesn't make them good. So please be careful with that. These companies are so good at getting influencers to feed us a line and say things in a way that makes it sound like we're doing better when we're just keeping things in our kitchen, in our food plan, that tricks us into eating the garbage eventually. I need everybody to understand this. These companies are willing to invest not thousands, millions, and even some of them billions on the front end. So that's money and time. Investing in Bliss Point, investing in new versions of whatever cookie or whatever ice cream or whatever, investing in the Canadian market versus the American market version of that cookie versus the Swedish market version of that cookie versus the Chinese market version of that cookie. These companies are that willing to invest at that level for one simple reason. They know that they are going to get their money back. They invest the time at the front because they know they will get the money back at the end. Why aren't we willing to do that? Why aren't we willing to invest the time at the front to make sure that we eat on plan, to make sure that we educate ourselves on what's the best thing to eat so that we get the outcome that we want? Now, here's another piece of that puzzle. Because these companies are investing all that time and money to hijack our brain, hijack it. When they put this thing on the market and we think, oh, I can have just one of these, I just want to try it. And next thing you know, it's in our cupboard or in our pantry, and we're eating it for the next 20 years. We are confused and we think, oh, we just liked it. No, it hijacked your brain. They are willing to allow us to take little breaks. Because while you and I are taking a break, Susie and Steve are eating their junket, their garbage. And then when Susie and Steve take a break, Violet and Germond have fallen back in. And then when Violet and Germond are taking their break, Elizabeth and Tony have fallen back in. And the circle and the cycle and the what, it just goes on and on. Because why? Because we believe them that when they say, oh, but if you do this to it, it's safer. And we believe that safer is equivalent to safe, that better is equivalent to good. I'm right here, right now, screaming to all of you who are still listening, all 12 of you, those words are not equivalent. The same way that plant foods are not equivalent to meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. They cannot be. Meat, fish, poultry, and eggs, we've been taught, and I believe this because it's in our history and we see it in the archaeology, the shifting change in the size of our skulls. We see this. And they are certain that meat, fish, poultry, and eggs, eating plant matter, eating fat, helped us grow bigger brains. Yet somehow, today, we're being told that they're equivalent to plants, even though we are living in the first time in the history of being on this planet, worse health, more disease, inability to think properly. We're not getting smarter, right? More of us are just average. Like, what is happening? Right? As a population, we were all progressing and things were getting better. And then we stalled and now we're actively declining and nobody is questioning this. How is it that we have more people who are younger and younger allergic to stuff? These supposedly healthy bodies allergic to stuff, reacting to stuff, obese, obese children. That never used to be a term. Those words didn't go together. Can we stand up and protect our children, even if it's too late to protect ourselves? Can we stand up and protect our children and step in and say, yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore? Feed them real food. Because it doesn't make any sense, Wellness Warrior, not at all, that we are sicker today than 100 years ago. That there's a rise in the amount of diseases and that we've coined new terms for diseases. That doesn't make any sense. I heard a nutrition specialist say eating is not a team sport in relation to the pressure to participate in social gatherings with food. I love that. I love that because it's not a team sport, Elizabeth. It's not. It's something that you do. It's not even a sport. Can we go there? It's not even a sport. So many people with this eat to live to eat stupidity that this video is fighting against. This live to eat stupidity because they're eating for the fun of it. They're eating for the excitement of it. They're eating as a way to entertain themselves and not realizing that what they're actually doing is eating themselves into obesity and illness and pain and shorter life and all the things that we seem to be trying to heal ourselves from, we end up eating ourselves into because nobody's truly acknowledging that the food we eat builds this body and therefore we need to eat what the body is asking for. A healthy body regulates its weight. I will say that, I will scream that from the rooftops. From today moving forward, you need to embroider that on your I should make a t-shirt. I'm going to make a t-shirt. A healthy body regulates its weight. I've been saying this for years, and I need you guys to all understand that this is what it is. Your healthy body knows what you should weigh. So let it give you that good weight. Now, I'm going to go down below and try to find those two videos that I said I was going to link. The one about taking the garbage out and the other one which is the one about um like how much money I saved. Was that the same video? I feel like I said two different videos, but I'm gonna go back and rewatch and I'll find the two videos that I said I was gonna list below. And if it was one, it was one. Thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you guys again next week. And come join me tonight in the so Eastern time, 7 p.m. office hours. I'm going to be there talking about all this stuff, and it's going to give me the opportunity to actually go into your particular story. Your particular story. So, we can go into details and I can give you on point like what I think might be causing your stall and what you might be able to do to change that right away. The sale isn't going to last forever, so come check it out. $10 gets you in, and that's for life. So I'm encouraging you to take advantage of it right now. Thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Hey, Mendel, before I say bye, I always love it when you are able to jump in and say hello. Um, Talk to you next week, Wellness Warriors. Have a great rest of your day.